I just bought a sweet new ride, and it's inside this box. What's happening, Panda Nation? Peter Von Panda here. I just bought something I'm pretty excited about. Despite the fact that this thing cost a pretty penny, I'm pretty stoked about it. So let's get this thing open. So I ordered this and it came pretty quickly. Now this is actually an electric scooter. I've never actually had an electric scooter. And I was thinking, well, why do I need one? You know, you can bike, you can walk. And it kind of dawned on me that there are a few reasons that I really could use one of these. One, when I'm on vacation and you want to, cross a bunch of land, it can be nice to have an electric scooter. The other thing is I just thought it would be a lot of fun, just to be able to kind of zip around. Now, this electric scooter is really the Cadillac of scooters as far as I can tell. It's actually by a company called Cycleboard, and this is one of their models, one of 4 models, and this is the Cycleboard Rover. And this scooter is not inexpensive. I think about $2,400, something like that. And that is a lot for an electric scooter, especially when I was checking out other scooters by like Bird and Segway. Those scooters were quite a bit less expensive, but this one had a couple features that I thought were really important. Now, it does come with this charging brick here. It's kind of like a laptop charging brick, but it's very large. You can see this looks like it will plug into the scooter. It almost looks like a microphone cable. I'm sure we've got an extra cable in there. And then we have the power cable, so this will plug into a grounded outlet right there. We also get some tools right here. Looks like a big Allen key, some pretty big bolts, I think, to maybe hold on the wheels, some thumb screws, those types of things. The scooter also comes in a handful of styles. I got it with this like wood base here. I'm actually kind of curious to see how grippy that is, because some of them seem to have like a skateboard deck, which I'm sure is going to be very grippy. In this box we have 2 giant wheels, and this is actually kind of a big differentiator between this scooter and some of the other ones, in that it is a 3-wheeler. And so a lot of scooters will have a kickstand, so you don't really need this because it has 2 wheels up front and then a drive wheel in the back, I believe. So look at this. This is pretty big, man. It's like a 10-inch diameter. It seems pretty meaty. You can see a nice tread on there. It's already inflated. You can see the ball bearing hub in there. We have kind of a typical Schrader valve for inflating it. It's kind of a cool looking wheel, man. Kind of reminds me of like the Alfa Romeo wheels. 10 by 3.0 it says right there. Inflate to 20 psi. So we have these 2. And all of the scooters are 3-wheelers. Now, I will say this thing is pretty heavy, so if you want to take it around with you, as opposed to some of the other scooters, this one I think is like 85 pounds. So it's kind of one of those things, if you're going to load it into the back of a car, or even get it out of the box like this, you're going to probably lift up one end, put it into the back of your car, then lift the other end and kind of push it in there. If you are big and burly enough like me, you can probably pick it up just by itself. But I think for a lot of people who are expecting to just kind of grab their scooter and carry it like a piece of luggage, this is probably not it. This is more of a touring scooter than anything else. So I'm just going to go ahead and lift this thing out. But you can see here that the bar does fold down, so you can absolutely carry this thing around with you. It does have the rear wheel already attached, and I have noticed that it has a fender with a light on it. Now, I saw that in the spec, but it wasn't actually clear to me in some of the pictures that it included that rear fender. I wasn't sure if that was kind of an add-on, because in some of the pictures it looks like that the wheel is exposed. But I can tell you right now, you can see right there, the big fender. So I'm getting pretty excited. First impressions of this thing are pretty awesome. You can see here we have that brake caliper under there. We have a pretty big rear fender, and like I said, I'm glad to see that was already installed. This is like a plastic, but it seems very durable. Now down here too, it's kind of cool. You can see that brake disc right there. Looks pretty heavy duty, and I'm actually surprised about how wide these wheels are. So I think from the standpoint of like driving this on the grass and things like that, you're not gonna have to worry about it sinking down in there. I will tell you that I believe all the handles up here, like the brakes and the LCD monitor right there, are all kind of turned for a shipping position, so you'll have to adjust those. It's going to be pretty simple. It looks like there's just some screws here that get loosened, and then you can tighten it down. The handlebar folds down like this. I think to raise up this bar, you pull this to loosen it up. So you rotate it forward, and you push in this button right here, and then you can lift up the handlebar. Just like that. Then looks like that pops out when it's vertical, and then you just rotate this back down and tighten it down like that. Cool. One of the things that I was really excited about checking out is this deck here. I was kind of curious because in the pictures it looks like it is a wood grain, and basically I wanted something that had a little bit of that old school look, but I can tell you it has like this plastic kind of covering on it, which is really grippy. It's pretty translucent, but it has like a really aggressive texture on it, so it obviously kind of distorts the image underneath, but gives it a little bit of a brighter look. I actually was looking at some of them that just have like a black deck. They kind of look like a skateboard or something like that, but I'm kind of happy to see that regardless of which design you get, you're probably going to have this material on there, which is going to be really nice, especially when you're standing on it, that you don't have to worry about it kind of slipping out from underneath you. Now, I will say this thing is actually pretty big. You can see my size 10 foot here on this board. I can stand sideways and almost have my entire foot on there. So you can see here how big this rear tire is, man. You know, the fender over it, which is pretty cool. Now the front area here is really what enticed me about this particular scooter, because it's just so much more robust and almost go-kart-like-ish because of the front suspension. You can see that we'll bolt the wheel right in there, so it looks like it's going to be pretty straightforward to get that in there. Just going to put the wheel up there and use those big screws. And then we have kind of like a tie rod end here, so as you are leaning back and forth, it'll pull in or push out these sides so the wheels will turn as you're leaning, which is actually really great because if you think about when you are driving or on a motorcycle or on a bike, you're always leaning into the turn. So it's kind of nice, as opposed to just turning the handlebars, it's actually leaning you in and kind of creating more stability by nature. And so I really like that. Now you could certainly do that with any other scooter, but this one, you don't even have to worry about twisting the handlebar and then having to lean into it as well. You can just lean into the turn. So pretty cool. And I will say here that if you look right here, we have pivot point right here. So we have this whole thing on rear suspension. And again, that's going to be great for off-roading. I'm definitely going to try it on grass and dirt. It's going to help preserve the whole entire scooter, but also preserve you and make sure that you're not getting jarred around too badly. These are accessories that are not included with the sale. You can see there's a separate receipt in here, and what I am really excited about here is, one, this is a front fender kit. So these will cover the front wheels to make sure that when I am off-road, I don't splash up mud and dirt any more than I need to on me. We're gonna put that on before I put the wheel on here, but I do want to show you that nothing about this is cheap. You can see we have an inner metal plate, which is what it's mounted to, and then kind of this polymer fender here, but then we even have a little reflector on the outside. So everything about this is really high quality, which is kind of nice. Now, this will install, you can see those 3 holes on the hub there, and then we have 3 holes right here. Then it comes with 6 screws that we will install this with right there. Now, one word of warning, I may have missed it, but in terms of the keys that this kit comes with, I could not find one that fits this. So I busted out my own Allen key set here, and hopefully, maybe I just overlooked it in mine and we'll find it later, but hopefully you'll have a set of Allen keys so that you can finish up this job. And it looks like just any 3mm Allen key will be able to tighten these in. So installing these wheels looks like it's going to be pretty easy. They are directional, so you will see on the sidewall here that they are printed with the drive direction, which means this wheel will go on this pivot point right there. So you are just going to put it right on there. It's easier with this if the scooter is on its side, as far as I can tell. And then you're going to use this long bolt and then this Allen key. Looks like there's a little thread locker on there already to tighten this down. Do want to torque them down pretty good. The bearing is what it will spin on. So I think that's on there. And now we will just install the other side. All right, wheels are installed, and this is a good chance to kind of just look at the undercarriage, not my undercarriage, the scooter's undercarriage. You can see we have some springs here. You can see how the wheels are turned, and you know, if I just go up here, the deck is angled, so that's how it turns. The moving of the deck would have some sort of rack and pinion maybe in there, or a gear that is kind of pushing the wheels in and out, so that's pretty cool. You can see all the hardware here. I mean, just really nice. You can see the springs, the suspension right on there, so that'll help reduce any ride harshness. You can also see the charging port on this side with the instructions right there, and you just swing this down like that. There's a little rubber plug that you can pull up, and now you can plug that sucker in there. So it's kind of a clever design, kind of makes it pretty weatherproof. And then, like I said, you can kind of see the swing arm here, all the hardware underneath there. You can see that this will be the drive wheel. I assume the motor maybe even in that wheel, so that's pretty cool. I mean, everything about this is pretty nice. And I will say the thing that maybe surprises me, and it probably shouldn't, is just how big and robust this is. I knew it was 85 pounds, so it's pretty big, and I knew it was a scooter. So I guess in my mind, I just had it envisioned that it is like any other Razor scooter that I've ever seen. And it's much bigger. I mean, in fact, as I look at the handlebars here, they seem really, really high to me. But I guess this deck right here is maybe 8 inches or so, 7 or 8 inches off the ground. So once you get up on it, then the handlebars are right where you expect them to be. And you can see it's kind of wobbling here because that is how you steer. So if I hang this side or this side straight, man, it's just kind of cool. So you can kind of lean into those turns, you know, even with like a 15 or 20 degree pitch to the deck, it looks like I am moving these wheels, oh, darn near 40, 45 degrees. So I think you should be able to carve pretty nicely. Man, it's a lot easier to do this than I kind of thought. It's pretty natural as opposed to just kind of having a small handle here and you're trying to turn, and you know, sometimes you're trying to use them for balance and guidance. Now, like I said, everything here is in travel mode, so you've got to swing this back up here like this. This, I think, is the throttle down here, so this little button, I'm assuming. And then over here, we've got to move this up too, I think, a little bit, or tighten it down. And this is the brake, and there's also a little parking brake here. So if I pull this all the way back and then pull this little switch here and release, now it's in parking brake mode, and I can just release it just like that. So if you're on a hill, an incline, something like that, you're running into a store to do a little grocery shopping, just put the parking brake on, and that sucker won't move. And it looks like it's just as easy as a single hand movement to get it out of parking. Looks like we also have a little bar up here. And I bring that up because I probably will add one of my bike lights or something right up here so that I have kind of light when I need it at night. You could probably also get a light that would fit up here too. I know some of the scooters actually have some LED lights built in. It probably would have been nice to have that here, but I get that you're kind of buying what you need here. But so far, man, it's pretty darn nice. And like I said, it's just bigger than I expected, but in many ways, that's pretty awesome. The last thing we want to do here is set up our controls here, and this little LCD panel, you kind of want that facing up. It looks like on the back there is a set screw right there, so I'm assuming that this little Allen key will fit in there. So once you get that into the position that you want, then you can just tighten it down like this. And then once you have your brake control in the position you want, I think almost horizontal works for me, then you have two little set screws right under here, and this Allen key looks like it fits in there. So we'll just tighten these down around the handlebar too. Now, before I can have any real fun, it says to charge this sucker up. So I'm going to go ahead and plug it in and then leave it so that we can top off the battery, and then we will get testing it out. So one of the things that I'm curious about, and you're probably curious about, is how easy is it to load and take with you? Obviously, if you just want to roam your own estate with this, that's one thing. But if you want to take it with you on a trip, which is kind of the whole purpose for me, you want to know how easy it is to get into a car. Now, I think most of us are going to have to use an SUV because of this thing's size. It's pretty big. And on top of that, it's 85 pounds. Now, I'm not the strongest guy in the world, but I'm also not the weakest. Now, in this particular SUV here, I do have seats in the middle row that will fold down. However, they don't fold flat. They only go to about a 40-degree angle. So that'll give me some more room, but it won't fold flat like a lot of SUVs will. If yours folds flat, then you're probably in really good shape. Now, what you can do here is I've gone ahead and back this up towards it. I'm going to lift it up by the rear wheel here first, and then lift it up by the front suspension. Just going to push it in here. You can see, if your seat back folds flat, then I think you'll be able to push this in no problem. Now I think a lot of people might have two of these, a couple people on vacation, and I would say if you stagger them, so the front end over there, the back here, and then do this one, the reverse, the back end first, I should have no problems getting two of these into the back of an SUV. So that's good news too. Definitely portable. All right, so let's do this thing. Always wear head protection. Even an inexpensive helmet like this can save your noggin. All right, people, slightly nerve-wracking here, but I thought we would give it a shot. Ooh, it's a little like trying to balance on a skateboard or a surfboard. Definitely moves around a little bit. It's a little unnerving, but I think hopefully you'll get the hang of it. I'm just going to hold down the power button here. That comes up. It looks like we have an odometer too, and you use these buttons to toggle through the different modes. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have to start on 1. Is what you're supposed to do. And now you have to use this to throttle it, but you actually have to give yourself a little push to start, and then, woo, woo. Oh yeah, baby. All right, it takes a little getting used to on how to steer it, but kind of comes pretty natural. You actually don't move your torso as much as I thought. I thought you kind of lean into it, but you kind of push the scooter the opposite way. So if I want to turn to the left, I kind of lean myself to the right and kind of move the scooter the opposite way. You're kind of like hanging off like one of those racing motorcycles. All right, that's pretty cool. I wonder if I can move up to a faster level on the fly here. So 2. Oh my gosh, holy smokes. All right, 1 is pretty slow. like a fast walking pace, but 2 is pretty fast, which I know this thing will go like 27 miles an hour, but I'll be honest, dude. Woo, get out of the way, squirrel. 27 miles an hour is fast. Shoot. All right, let's see what the turn radius is on this. All right, nice that we have brakes here because, all right, figuring out how to turn here is not the easiest thing. Well, I can turn around within a car. Oh man, this thing gets up and goes. It's pretty fast. All right, let me see if I can go up to 3. I'm feeling pretty courageous. Oh. Yeah, baby. Woo. All right, even the smallest kind of movements here actually steer you pretty dramatically. So I can see people kind of carving on this. Like I said, I'm kind of leaning the opposite way to turn. One-handed operation isn't the easiest thing on this, but man, this thing is awesome. Dude, this thing flies too. Now, getting used to the turning on this takes a little bit of experience, I think. It's actually fairly intuitive, and like I said, if you do snowboarding or skiing or kind of board sports, surfing, I think you're gonna get the hang of it pretty quickly. I'm definitely taking my turns pretty slow right now because this thing goes just a little tap on the throttle, man. This thing picks up. But it's actually pretty easy to turn. Since I don't have another scooter, it's kind of hard to know. Man, this thing is quick. This is a little uphill angle here, so we're on a mild but uphill grade. Dude! Man, this is awesome. Dude, you can definitely cover some distances pretty quickly. And you just kind of lean. What I realize is you kind of want to over-lean to do the turn. You're kind of bringing the handle with you, I think, a little bit. So you kind of, I don't know. You can kind of almost counter-lean like this, but you can almost kind of hang off the side. Kind of like, I feel like those extreme motorcyclists too. You can kind of drag the handlebars with you, or you can kind of lean against them. So it's kind of interesting. All right, so we've done some road here. I want to see how this thing handles off-road. Big tires should actually work all right. So let's see. Oh man, this thing moves on grass too fast. Thank God for the suspension. Dodging stuff in. Actually, this like a little surfboard action here is kind of nice because you're not really relying on turning the handles per se. Look at this. This terrain is rough, and dude, this thing handles it no problem. Holy smokes, that's some tall freaking grass, and again, no problem. I mean, this is a hiking trail. I don't know. I suppose you could go mountain biking on it too or something, but getting used to the turning is a little tricky. For the first ride though, I think this is proof positive. I'm not the most athletic guy in the world, that you can learn to be decent on this. I wouldn't call it proficient yet, but you can definitely be mobile on this thing right away. And I bet with more use, man, you probably just get really good at this, hanging off the handlebars here a little. Holy smokes. This is some bouncy terrain here, man. I've never actually been back here this far because get some wildlife, coyotes, horses, stuff back here. Hunters. See a bunch of deer. Saw 3 coyotes come through here, which I wouldn't try to run from them, but I'm not sure how fast coyotes are. But I'd sure rather be on a 27 mile per hour scooter than on foot if I did come across them. The pickup on this thing is amazing. And actually, I'm not sure if it has regen or not, but as soon as you let off the thumb throttle here, what ends up happening is you slow down pretty quick. Now, part of that is the terrain too. On the flatter ground, I didn't notice you slowing down that much, but I'm not sure if it's like regenning the battery, but it's certainly providing some resistance. Yeah. All right. I definitely don't have the stones to try a jump or anything yet, but this thing is so robust. Holy smokes, this thing's fast. All right, speed freaks, this scooter is pretty awesome. Now, it's really the top of the line one that they have, the Rover Gen 2, big battery, 40 mile range, 27 mile per hour top speed, and this thing is crazy. Big suspension, everything about this thing is overbuilt, and that's actually what got me thinking a little bit, because it's so fast, and I know you can set the speeds here, kind of the limits on 5 settings. It's so fast, I don't know that you need or want all that speed. I know for me, it's always tempting to say, hey, I want more speed, I want something more powerful. I actually like speed and those types of things, but especially when you are totally uncovered, you have a high center of gravity standing on a scooter itself. I don't know that you want to tempt yourself, because all it takes is one small wipeout. You know, there were a lot of times when I put this up on 2 wheels, you know, turning it and things like that. You're just carrying a lot of momentum and you're up high, and it's really easy to get off of it. So I know that a lot of scooters are limited to 17, 18 miles per hour, and I kind of think that might be the right thing to do, because you can absolutely limit this. And I know that the Elite, I think, is a lower top speed, but for the beginner, I think this actually might be too much. Now, it's something you can definitely grow into if you have a long commute, long distances to cover, if you have really undulating terrain, things like that. I think you want something that's maybe overbuilt or maybe even a little more stable because of the 3 wheels. It's a pretty awesome scooter. I mean, it's darn near an off-road vehicle. It's definitely more than what I would think of as a scooter. And it's got the price point of that too. You know, at $2,400 for this, it's not inexpensive, but there's nothing about it that I would say, hey, I think this is overpriced, because just from the construction of the build and the quality of the materials and its speed and its performance, and the fact that it's still sub 100 pounds, which is heavy, but it's definitely portable, and the fact that you can get accessories. To me, that you can get those accessories and put a golf bag on front here is no surprise, because this thing carries a big guy like me without any hesitation. So to put, you know, 30, 40 pounds of golf gear on here too, I think would be just fine. So I think if you're going out, want to explore the world, maybe you live in a big country area, maybe you're going on a vacation and you've got lots of ground to cover, you know, something like this could be really, really awesome. So if you want to pick it up, I'll put a link to it in the description, and the referral link that I'll put in there will actually get you and me a $100 discount on a future purchase. So you can help us both out if you want it. So that being said, Cycleboard, it's definitely the king of scooters. Peter Von Panda, out.